It's hard. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so we're going to get back into our discussion. So last class we did a very structured final word activity, and we're going to get back into it, okay? I asked you at the end of last class to take a survey to give me some quick feedback, and I got some responses. So the first one was rate your participation and engagement during this discussion. So from what class am I in? So that's a plus. That's a plus too. I can't wait to share my ideas. Did I do it right, Jay? I can't wait to share my ideas. She made fun of me a little bit. So we're in the middle range, okay? So I'm okay with that, okay? I totally understand that this might not be the most fun activity because, like, the kind of learner I am, you just sit and talk to me and lecture and I'm good. That's what I like. I really like that. I'm not a big discussion group person. Weird, right? So I can totally understand this. So I'm happy that this engagement was towards this side. This makes me really happy that this is 0, okay? All right, so during this discussion activity, I felt, so majority of us felt that 100% of my people felt like they could share their ideas, which is fantastic. That's like the whole purpose, so that's great. That they were being heard, we had about 60%. That my group mates appreciated my perspective, about 78%, and that I was learning, about 78%. So I'm good with those percentages. I'm obviously, you know, I have to do some reflection about the 2 or 3 that didn't feel that way. So that's part of my learning process, okay, and what I can do to be better. So other feedback, and this was like, and I know it's usually the most taxing part is to actually like kind of write out all of your ideas, but it gives me so much really great information because I wouldn't have altered this activity the way I did without this information, okay? So it was good when the other person is talking, it's hard not to talk or be able to interject. I liked it, it's hard to hold back some things to say at first though. Someone said explicitly put the textual evidence as needed. I felt that it provides a solid foundation to the discussion and helps move conversation. The only reason why I didn't do that is because I didn't want to overwhelm you with the task of doing that graphic organizer. Some of you did do it, which is great, but I totally understand that. So maybe next time what I'll do is I'll say textual evidence might help. Locating it or putting the page number or something like that might help. Different format for the preparation. I understand the need for prepping for this activity, and it definitely helped. Otherwise, I would have been completely lost. But I was confused about what to write on the note sheet when we received it. And if I knew we would be discussing the topics, I would have written different things down. It also felt repetitive, which is all really great information. So my directions need to be a little bit more explicit in regard to what you should put down, where we're going with this after, and that you will be able to essentially choose your discussion path. So I thought that was really helpful. I'd like to accept that if you were not the group leader, you could not elaborate on, qualify, or agree, disagree with the people who went after you. So again, you guys wanting that exchange of ideas. Nothing, I thought it was great. I liked how everyone had to talk, but I wish it was a little less structured so we could connect between all the themes a little bit more. I wish we had more time to discuss and that we could engage directly, and it be more of a conversation than everyone making a point. Lastly, I felt the activity was extremely structured. I understand our class in particular occasion needs encouragement to share ideas. However, I believe this activity has us trying to figure out how to correctly follow directions more than fully engage in deep conversation. Great feedback. You're absolutely right. I think a lot of it was about process, and that's really, really important. And although I wasn't assessing you on that, I can totally understand how it felt that way. Stressed under time, and connecting with each topic to fully engage in a conversation about the purpose of night. Maybe for the next discussion, we as students can help work to find a healthy balance behind structure and encouraging everyone to fully engage in freedom for conversation. Unbelievable feedback. Unbelievable feedback. So I've learned a lot of things about what I need to do in regard to the preparation for the next time we do a discussion like this. I also like that people said, I know why we're doing this, because part of it was maybe we're not always sharing all of our ideas, right? Not everybody in the room feels that they can share their ideas or is comfortable enough doing it, or there's time to do it. But one of my biggest takeaways is that You want a little bit more freedom in the structure and to be able to give and take in a conversation. That makes sense? Okay, so the purpose is the same, but this is our major change. So before, what we did is we did 8 minutes around. The presenter had 3 minutes. Everybody had 1 minute to respond, and you could not engage in the conversation after that. And then there was 2 minutes for the closing that went back to the presenter. What I'd like to do is I'd like to give you more time, okay? I would still like one person to start the conversation and lead the conversation. I want you to hold each other accountable and make sure that every person does engage. So if Shayna starts the conversation, she might pose the idea, but then at any time you guys can discuss with her, elaborate on, qualify, agree, disagree, refute, anything like that. And then so if we're all discussing, I'm in your group, and I don't actually say anything, I would hope that you guys are comfortable enough for Sierra to say, Bridget, what do you think about this? Or something. I do have a real first name. Weird, right? I know, it's like, whoa. So you would, in a polite way, that you would engage the person that maybe is not talking in that conversation, okay? And then I would like for the presenter to just come and close and summarize. So I think it still provides us with some structure. It provides us with an opening. It allows for the group dynamic and facilitation, and then we can kind of close all together. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that sound good? Yes. Okay. All right, so that's where we're going to start. Now, we've worked on themes a lot, okay? So this is where I want you to get into your next section. We're going to stay in 34 through 72, that page. But what's happening now is that you could talk about motifs, you could talk about characterization, or you could talk about plot development. You may also talk about bits and pieces of that. So I don't want to say we're just talking about plot development, because you might actually talk about motifs or characterization in that conversation. So what you're going to do is everyone's going to have a presenter for their group. You're going to pick kind of the topic area event in that part and just feed the conversation from there. You might actually go back and tie in some themes. You might just facilitate a conversation about how do you think they were feeling in this moment or what was happening in regard to plot. I want it to be more about kind of taking your overall ideas and expressing them. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? Okay. I am going to put an overall timer on the board because now we're all going to be running on just 10 minutes. And you don't need a timekeeper. You are going to need someone who's starting and then someone who's closing. But we're going to run on a full 10 minutes. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
Are there any questions that yes?
Are we still taking notes?
I would like you to take notes, but because you're going to have the opportunity to engage in that conversation, it may be just like a quick note, like if the five of us are talking and Chris and Shayna are kind of coming back and forth, I might just write something down so that when I get the chance I can interject.
Okay.
But the notes are not as important anymore because you don't have to wait your turn to speak. Jack.
You're going to be grading them, right? The graphic organizer? Not graphic, just the organizer?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
But not the notes.
Not the notes. Not the notes. Not the notes.
So from the organizer, we just explained what we're doing using evidence, that's fine?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. And that was the other reason why I didn't put textual evidence on there, because I felt like that was a lot for you. And some people's brains don't work like that. Like I might be able to just write down a section like Ellie's trip to the dentist and a couple of key words, and that will jog my memory.
Right.
Whereas someone might need a real piece of evidence to make it. So that whatever works. Are we good? I'm gonna give you guys 2 minutes to everyone to just maybe pick their section or part. Okay? If you want to grab another book in case you don't have yours. And I'm gonna pull up the clock.
I would like to do characterization. Specifically, others and others.
I know, I'm gonna Okay.
Sounds. You can tackle that.
So
Oh, look at Alexis, she's got the
it
goods.
is. We're gonna do.
Let's hear this.
I wrote so many things.
His name was Chuck. He was
Unbelievable. That's all I wrote.
You know, I'm really interested. Do you think it was the same one? Yeah, I think it was the same one, and I'm pretty sure
I
it's the
wrote
other.
saves the same row.
Okay, so
So
what
what
is
is
it?
Are you guys starting now?
Okay.
No.
So, nope.
I should've-
Oh, I didn't mean to start the timer, sorry. Sorry. Hold on one second, just keep picking your places.
We'll be the last time.
Jack will do down and then Shannon will
Does that make you feel?
how to get
I would assume they're doing.
Someone kills her father.
What if that made zero? Just
Someone
everyone
kills her
was-
father.
Now we're
Except
doing
for you, just like.
So all you're gonna need to do is what I'm gonna
Is it spicy?
I think I'm gonna get the fair one.
Yeah, I didn't feel
I'm literally.
Just
I like to limit this mod what I just want to do.
Just super sec.
Yes, that's perfect. Okay, because Sierra was in here last class and she didn't get both pieces of paper, she's not gonna be a presenter at any point in the round, so she's just gonna jump into the conversation.
Oh, you
Okay.
got quotes on there.
All right, are we ready to rock? Okay.
Oh, are we doing all the motifs?
All right, let's begin.
Oh, okay. Well, let's start with tradition. Okay.
She had to go to bed.
So, I thought that
He was so young.
the motif for tradition was, I took it to be talking about when it was referring to disobeyed tradition, like during the celebration of the
Yeah.
where he doesn't fast or bless God. Because he kind of breaks this tradition that they will, that not just him, but the Jewish faith that has had for a long time. And that kind of symbolizes the fact that it's no longer important to him, and it also goes along with what we were talking about yesterday of the formation of identity and the effect of the adversity of the individual, because it's gone to the point where there's so much going on, there's so much terrible things, so many terrible things, that it's almost as if this faith isn't important to him, and not just that,
Even
all
though
of
they
all
all
these
knew,
terrible
like,
things that he has to bring to that there was something that challenge for him or whatever.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because
If you look back at the whole
nice.
situation.
I have a copy
who
going
was
on
screaming
Let's
on
hear
with
that.
liberty,
I'll read them.
It was like tick
Page
off both sides.
68.
still had energy, like,
I was afraid
mad
to wish
going
him
out.
happy new
It
year,
says
which
that
I
on
no
that
longer
evening,
believe.
he said cover
This
it
is
later. It tasted
I
like
feel like
going
that's
from
paralyzed, paralyzed.
being great, you let your life to be so important.
Because he had long
As much as he
atmosphere,
wanted to do something.
and he knew,
he
I
didn't
think,
put it
in
together.
his head, their earlier relationship was kind of not as good because he had faith.
Well,
So now,
I'm like
I'm
Chris.
not wishing him a happy new year.
It's
He's
Crisco.
built
So, I guess when I think of power signs, I can think of it like one in two ways. Someone forcing me to be silent and exhibiting that power and control.
How did you like take that?
Or choosing to be silent. Me taking silence as the only thing that I maybe can control. Does that make sense? What do you guys think?
He was all
Yeah.
about religion, like devoting his whole entire life.
I definitely feel like that made him lose faith.
I don't know. I feel like it's displayed in
See
both.
something so graphic
It's
like
like
that.
novel.
I don't think that the
people,
fact that it was a little
the
boy.
other, like people outside the camps aren't doing
Not help,
anything.
but supported the feeling that he felt like God
Neither are any of the bystanders.
he more represented
And then
innocence. And
they're
Because
also
in
not
the
these
hanging
things.
him with and
68,
killing
he
him.
says, I ran to look for my father, but then he said, at the same time, and that's where my book starts, I was afraid for something. So I think he still has, like, because he did study it for so long, it's still in the back of his head there.
That
He
he was
still
like
kind of
associated with a possible like attempt to sabotage
holds
the
down to
camp.
that.
And he was tortured, but he would like remain
Oh.
silent. So there would be
Why does
like
Ellie choose to be silent?
He would go to a different.
Why is Ellie
Okay.
choosing to be silent? Why is he not intervening when others speak?
Okay. Here's what I thought.
He's
This could
afraid.
be way off.
Okay.
If it's offensive, then
Yeah, but he was. So, like,
Afraid.
I thought that
I
the night was symbolizing peace almost, and
That's what
almost.
I said.
Oh,
Or is
okay.
he worried about himself?
And almost like a restart, like a reset.
But
whatever.
And the reason why I say that is because kind of like every night, yeah, all the day there would be these terrible things happening, but at the end of the day, they were always like, you know, this is the worst it'll be. Pretty soon it will be better. And I feel like at night, that's
Yeah.
it
It's also
wasn't.
interesting because you like with the characterization.
I don't know. They were almost able to like it wasn't peaceful because they knew it was still going
So
on.
he writes
They always had that in the
this
back of their mind.
years
that
after
it would
he's
get
done
better,
that.
and that this was the worst.
How does that
And I think with that,
maybe
I
that
think also
experience
symbolizes the ignorance that they had,
or change that
in
experience?
terms of thinking that, or naivety, or whatever you want to call it, in terms of thinking that, not thinking the best of the situation, which is probably a good thing. But anyways, that's what I thought the.
Wow, a child was just
Do you think he was reflecting on being silent because he was selfish in the
Which
moment
is true.
yeah.
when it was happening, or do you think he
It's
only
like,
makes that
it was an
judgment now that he's
accomplishment,
looking
I
back?
think, to make it every day tonight. Because everything bad that kept happening was during the day, like you said. So if they made it to the night, you just survived that day.
I think it could be because he's looking
Going
Right.
back, but it kind of recharged a little bit.
Also, I think going on that, like, being in the camps where they were moving and doing all these things, they really didn't know what was going on. But the fact that night would come at the end of the day, it was like constant, and that was something that they always go back to, and
It's
they
either
always
a really
think that
bright
would
and sunny
be
day.
I feel like if he
contrast
at the
with
end of the day, if that makes any sense.
natural
was
rhythm.
looking back on the moment,
Human.
like this person.
But like, or in the sun,
Okay.
like in this part of the sunset, the night's coming and like all of these horrible
I
things.
don't know.
So he says, I stood petrified. What had happened to me? My father had just been struck in front of me, and I had not even blinked. I had watched and kept silent. Only yesterday, I would have dug my nails into the criminal's flesh. And I had changed that much so fast. Remorse began to gnaw at me, and all I could think was, I shall never forgive them for this. And so then my question becomes, what can't he forgive them for? Doing this to his father,
I feel like sometimes they'll sacrifice
or putting him in a position of where he remains silent?
where they draw the
So
line.
that's what I want you to talk about.
Yeah, no, I totally see that because like,
Yeah.
because like you said, they really didn't know. And I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing for them, you know what I mean?
And you should take it.
So
Night,
you just want
I
me to
think
talk about it?
we all kind of agree that night is something that is like almost unknown.
Discussion.
Like
But
they didn't know
basically, we
what was
talked about
going
how
on.
he was feeling helpless, like terrified. And like, we talked about how it related to the power of silence because
When his dad is
the
beaten,
Germans are forcing
Is a
them
great
to remain
representation
silent,
Right.
even as these unspeakable
Um,
attacks.
the concentration
I
camps
think
weren't
nice
also a
can I
physical
tell-
battle as much as a
Like,
mental
the
one.
church-
Because think of
Yeah.
it as when someone was getting hit, they would, you know what I mean?
You hope
But
that this
watch
is
your
the
own
last
father
day that's gonna be
get
bad.
beaten and
Then
then
the
just
next
watch
day
No,
it.
it's
is
trying to
Not
be
to
helpful,
think about
but
it,
Yeah.
but
Connect
way
it back to that.
who he was and what he felt through.
We have 3 minutes talking about some fire.
And also
Okay.
like.
Well, when I was reading this, I was focused more on
Oh, sorry.
His father just got slapped.
Okay, I
just
know.
the father's
I feel like I took
relationship
this like
part of it,
maybe more
because to
literally. I don't
see
know.
her
I took
be
it definitely
struck
literally in
down,
terms of fire and like destruction, death,
whatever control.
no escape
Afterwards, you're like,
sort of
why
thing.
did that do nothing?
Even though
And
the
I guess making it a little less literal, like
I'm sure
comparing the
he
fire to the
figures
camps,
that
and obviously there's
son
some
has
fire
these
and
really
Right.
strong
but yeah, like
Those are just
fire
things
has
about
a
back in the
sense of
time
like you
period.
can't escape
Tell
from
me
it. You're
what
like
had happened to me.
you
My
can't
father
like
just
there's
struck
like no
me.
escape from the
So,
fire as
like,
with
I
the
watched
camps.
it only yesterday would have done my nails.
I didn't really have like
I changed that much so fast.
like
that image.
Remorse began to gnaw at me.
philosophical
All I could think
thing
was,
about
I
it.
shall never forgive them for this. What won't he forgive them for? For doing this to his father, or for making him remain silent? Like that's what, and so that I think it's that open-ended for us, because you're talking about the physical and the emotional part of it, so let's talk about that.
The other thing is also his dad, how he worked out when his dad is sick, and like the last thing he says is his name.
I mean, I just
So
took
it's
this
like,
literally too. So
Yeah.
that
and then so like
Victoria
he
was
was
not messing with him.
You know,
that brings him days.
So there was no
Yeah,
positive
actually,
things
they bring that part up when his dad
associated.
dies the next day.
It's kind of
I
like,
think that's
they were
freedom
just
at
in
last.
death with fire.
Something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
because he's like, he doesn't have to worry about his dad anymore.
Like,
I mean, obviously afterwards he realized how horrible it was,
tone and
but in
attitude
the moment
of
he's like, alright, thank God I don't have to worry about
back
it
to
anymore.
like a deeper, sad, maybe
He was like
because
questioning if he should feed his dad because like he knows dad was really sick. He's like, oh, he's gonna die another day. I'm like, it's interesting because
Yeah, everyone's telling him not to.
yeah.
Which is really,
Or like starting with something, right? You start something, and so it's interesting that.
Yeah,
he
it's
starts
really
with
so
that.
different,
Like,
like,
all
I
makes
searched for
kind
the
of
Michael College and
lane in like 3 or 5.
I feel like, yeah, that's also like talking about 10 minutes about one paragraph.
Okay.
Had differing, like, depends on what night symbolized.
Okay.
Emily and I
Like for the
thought
themes,
that
it's
it
totally
symbolized
It was
like,
easy,
like
yeah.
a ton of material, but like
and like kind of a restart,
Yeah.
whereas Alexis
it's only 2
thought it
paragraphs.
was the complete opposite.
And like obviously there's some analysis that goes on, but there's obviously some analysis that we're not about, but like talking
That
about
fear, that darkness, that suffering, that like haunting feeling, almost like the end.
And like in so many situations, like all
She talks about my life
Yeah.
one long
Very-
night as well, that's like that turning point was horrible. That's interesting.
The lecture go through actually went super fast. The lecture, 50 minutes.
Yep.
I think that we
That's
all
not
want
bad.
Bring your
Yeah,
closure
that's how long
together.
the lecture is.
Yeah, because the lectures
observations
is written.
Yeah,
So
something
the
like
less,
that.
yeah.
Depending on, so
I
like they have
think
2
that
chemistry
when
lectures.
Ellie was writing the book,
Because mine was a
maybe
side
he
lecture.
meant for the
And it was
motifs to
only
be
like
interpreted
40, well, it was supposed to be 50 minutes, he did it in like
and
35.
that's like the symbols.
You talking about the backfire effects?
Other words.
Those actually are really cool.
Yeah, I know.
It's like how
She said,
American politics.
Okay, let's pause the conversation. Let's give some feedback. How was that? Better? Better for some? Interesting, because and this is me in my teacher hat. I was going, oftentimes I was walking around, it's like, I don't know if everybody's getting to talk, or is everybody comfortable with the structure and what they had to do? Because now it's more open-ended and it might be a little bit more fluid. I did see though, on the flip side, some more conversations happening as opposed to reports, if that would be it. Here's a tip that I want to give to you. When you're talking about a specific incident or moment, go back to that page number, because especially on the plot and development, I give you the page number, and start by reading that section. It might jog your memory or give you more to work with, especially because Ellie is so purposeful in his writing and the words he uses and the questions he even asks us as the reader. So if you're going to talk about pages 59 through 61, go right into the language. It might give you more information to have that conversation, okay? So let's move to our next kind of group leader or topic poser, and we'll do another 10 minutes. I'm gonna give you a pass, okay? So let's get right into it.
Who's it gonna be?
Go ahead.
Who went first last night?
Sonia Bush.
Let's talk about characters. So, we can study anything with theme, right?
Anything more?
I have a quote.
I'll go. This is Tara.
Yes,
Do you have any?
So I'm sorry, yeah, really.
She just blinked.
So I forgot the you start seeing when you're just says something wrong, you want to like fight back right away. You want to also, oh no, I'm right, you're wrong.
Take out the tape. Just take out the tape. Yeah.
Like loss of faith and relief, then reaffirm, feel like that's part of the story. It says, blessed be God's name, blessed be God's name, why would I bless him? So you feel
I kind of just
Anyone might
like
said,
every,
like,
and then he starts speaking and
adjectives.
realize that everyone
like,
goes
goes back.
in their faith.
Because I agree with you, and I think
And
that
he sees other
with
people
that,
that
like growing up,
religious.
first off, I think that
Ellie
like
and his
they-
father
they-
had a
it's almost like
conversation,
he
and
grew
it's
up
just
too,
the same.
has grown
Yeah,
up
it's
too
just a
fast.
time of reflection. I feel like
false hope,
And
like,
um,
I think deep down they both
But I
know
think
they're not
that
still alive,
he
they just have that like,
consistently
oh,
he
maybe
was
they're the other thing.
obviously
Maybe
very
He's
strong
upset
in being able to
that
Yeah, you have to give a lot of
Yes, that's
credit.
why
I think it's just that
So
also,
young and
yeah,
still survive, not just physically but
And the
mentally.
fact that he does
I think
believe
he's also
he's
very
so
smart, and I think he's
God.
also observant. For him to
kind of makes
obviously
me
like,
question
you know,
everything
the
else.
book is so filled
And I
with
think that
like descriptions
in this part of the book,
that
he's feeling low
the fact,
mentally
one of
and
the
physically.
reasons why he survived is
I
because he was
when I
so
was younger,
observant
I felt like
and
Stein
like
was
He's
resilient.
thinking about
I
all
think
these
like
things that are going on, all these things that have
I
happened,
don't know, like
and he just doesn't understand how
fairness was less than
God could betray him or do such things.
Like not living in reality.
to him.
yeah, like a little more disconnected,
And
almost like
I don't know.
believed
There was a lot, I mean, clearly
more
he took more
that
that
his
his
family was alive.
evolution and
And
it's all,
and
this whole entire section is really based on
Ellie and father have each other to like
God
kind of keep themselves in
torture.
reality, whereas Stein is like,
Yeah.
So,
and so when Ellie tells him, oh yeah, I know your
Shoshana
family was alive, I just heard
is,
from them, he's so ready to
the Jewish New Year.
We have the father.
he's like,
So it's
I had a quote about like
probably
there's just
one of
bread
the more important
and like they trying to get
I mean, when people think that it is especially and that's on this one, it's actually like probably the least
cherished his stuff.
at least celebrated,
So I think that was really
at least cared about, I guess, in the synagogue. Because yes, it was like cool and stuff, the story behind it, but with Rosh Hashanah, it also is it leads into the 10 days of
That Ellie is
like
right.
prayers basically for Kippur,
Tells us.
which they also mentioned in the book.
Why would he do this
So,
right now where it's still
The fact that they're still
beginning of
celebrating
kind of
and they're still like
experience
even bringing
What
it
is
up and
that
saying
doing?
the
Why
prayers
is he
for Rosh
connecting
Hashanah
back
and Yom
to
Kippur.
family right
Yom
now?
Kippur, they're saying sorry to God.
Okay.
That's what you do when you're a Jew and you're celebrating Yom Kippur. You're apologizing for anything
So
that
Stein
you've done.
is
So I just
parallel.
thought it was
I just got
ironic that they're still celebrating that
when
when
they were in line.
they're simultaneously getting like God is doing all these awful things
I don't know how to
that
say this, but
I mean, they
it's
still
almost like
believe that the women and
like,
children would be
so,
treated better
um,
because they were
That's
children
what I
and men
was
were, where in
thinking
reality
when
they were treated all the
I
same.
feel it
was
did
dating
So I feel like that
just the
goes
fact
along
that
with this whole
they're
social media,
continuing to
adopted.
acknowledge
piece,
the
especially with
holidays.
Stein, because he's believing, oh, they'll be fine, you know, they're little boys
They
that
are
are in
losing all
Israel
that
that,
faith.
you know,
But
they're
still,
shooting
for
them
some
anyway.
reason, probably to go along with
I've
the
seen
tradition
many
part of
things,
things.
which I guess they all
It's
have,
still just
but
tradition,
like,
and they
it's
can still
like,
do it.
I just
It
personally
probably
felt like
gives
he
them
wasn't
some
really
sort of
like,
peace of mind that there's just a constant.
Yeah, that's definitely better.
that's, yeah,
It's
that's,
almost like it's an
yeah.
interesting kind of
I feel like you almost
perspective.
felt
What is worse?
like
To
we
be devalued and dehumanized so much that you're
and
treated
that's why
like
he
an
felt
animal,
like he had to give
or not even to be
I
valued
feel like
at that point. Like what, like,
Yeah, you know, because, not to say that you were saved because that's a horrible thing to say, but like if you get killed immediately, you don't necessarily go through all the things that he did,
Oh,
but
okay.
then again, when it ended, they're not alive anymore, but I mean, like,
Right.
is it, it's a weird, not that there's a trade-off, but you may do it one way, it's
I
not
don't know, like some of the Jews are like still like
Yeah,
going with it.
This
and
couple, but then again, Elliot
John
living
says
in
he's
like
like,
to be a ridiculous age for
Right.
someone who grew up in that time period, whereas
he
his
was
sister
done
never
with
got his
God's
mother.
silence, and no longer accepted God's silence, and like
Yeah, life
he's
after.
like rebelling
Kids,
against God.
family, right, so.
and what he's done for him.
And he talks about how man
So
is
there was
stronger than
like
God.
a sense of community.
So then we go into what does suffering
like
do?
feeling
You
for
mentioned
each
that
other
theme a couple
throughout all
of
the
times.
prisoners
The whole
because they
There
all
was
knew
a-
what each other went through and they knew
Veterans
that
Day.
they had to
going
Last
against him,
be
week.
selfish
and then like
and
this whole
help
thing.
themselves
father
first,
was
but they
very
also
selfish.
need to help each other still because they were.
And they were exchanging their stories. This veteran
These ones are hard to talk about.
was a Jew in World War II.
Yeah.
He was 8 years old. He was walking towards the crematorium in Auschwitz.
This one is longer.
I think that like, yeah, I agree with you because like, I mean, I'm not sure how like well
And
they
they
know each other, probably not. But
Oh,
that
the
it almost like it did
backfires.
matter, they all, like in that
It's
moment,
when
they all kind of came
you're
together.
trying to,
and
like,
each other, knew that they
change
were in a
someone's mind,
situation
and
together.
so you give them like,
And
Is it
say,
changing your own mind?
no, say you
It's
give
hard to
like
tell.
someone concrete
He did
evidence
that
that
like
like
Because it was obviously
directly refute their
scrambling, and so he
on
and
something.
the other people he was working with
It's scientifically
They seem to
proven
be,
that they're more likely
Jewish,
to,
just know that
they will
like,
understand the evidence, but then
and he
instead of like
was shot
switching to your side, they will believe more stronger
escaped and
in their
ran
own.
for 3 or 4 years. Finally made it
Yeah.
to
That's why it's called the backfire
the
effect.
United States. And
It's,
then at 17,
why-
psychology.
I know, but
joined
why
the
would
military.
you, maybe just defense, defending themselves?
And
We talked about that a little bit. There's no like
he
science.
tries to
Is
like
he
tell
the
a
one?
story.
Oh, sorry, not
And
to interrupt you, but is he the one who?
my father-in-law was a
No, I'm so
Not
sorry.
one.
Is he the one who?
survived
When he
mentally,
was like,
but not
maybe you're two, and
physically.
then I was like, no. He's like, and then he's like, come back later, and then he dies. Is that? Because then there was like a second dentist who.
There's Brandon and
No,
there's
I'd have to do that.
So Brandon is the one that says, let me have your crown, kid.
I knew.
And then-
Oh my god, a southern accent.
Yeah.
And then I think I put the wrong one, I said, oh,
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna have to feel like,
That was the
well, then like choose. But not like that, you should already know. But, yeah, so he was just was not a good guy at all. And the dentist, he was like that, that can change. Well, he didn't, yeah, they just, we were discussing people survive with the drugs and found out what he was doing. It was, he was like at that point, when you're like, wasn't he taking like gold, like covering them out, like, you don't even feel like, and they were like, yeah, so gets people to keep going. They're still getting going.
That's
So
I was also saying,
They were tortured.
Rosh Hashanah, the holidays.
Is your anything
where Jews have apologized anymore. And I was just talking about how ironic it is that they're still celebrating and apologizing to God for their own sins and mistakes. When simultaneously He is doing all this to them.
Do you want to talk
So,
about
like, why would you
the
believe,
German
like, why?
systems real quick?
So I was just thinking how ironic that one.
I have ironic, and you wonder
I wonder what will happen
down to
if
like
father died and that
in
was
any
like all of the time.
We had the
you know,
same track for
friends and
that.
family have experienced
Same,
terrible
everything
tragedies
was
that
like,
go to
Yeah, so it was like, you were in my
and
group
because I
like
am
2
not
days
as
ago,
faithful,
when I was saying how
I struggle with
I
that.
think since
And
they
it's
were,
hard
it's
for
not
me
an excuse, but since they were
to
raised that way, they know
understand
better.
I was
So it's
thinking
like
that
when
maybe
you're
just
talking to a child,
even through all of this,
it's like people in other
goes along with the tradition part of things. Like it's just,
While we're like,
it's always there. So it's just the
But like, what way
one
is the right
constants
way?
they have throughout all of this that they can just celebrate.
No, obviously, I agree.
Being faithful and following
I
what
feel
really comes to
yes,
Like,
that exact.
for me
Let's
at
talk
least,
about that.
like,
No,
it comes in waves.
I almost feel like some of them
And
didn't
I
know what they
think
were
following
doing.
a faith
In the sense that, like, they were-
about
just like in that movie
how
when he
you're
was like,
not the tradition
I
of
was
it, but
buying
like the strength
Jewish
you have
people,
and what you're
but I-
believing in.
like then he
So I think
realized
that
what he was
that's something that gets lost. Like,
Right,
real
right.
faith is when people do it because
Which is
it's
kind of weird to think
like
about.
because of
Realize
the
it doesn't
tradition.
really
Like I wouldn't
matter. I really don't think they
make
really thought about
my children
What was that?
follow something just because
But it would
like all of my family does.
What I would say is that, like,
oh no.
because I totally get that, because I was saying that, like, why would you want to even continue that when God is doing all these bad things as they believe to them and letting them go through all that, and I think that it's just stripped it down to the point where they're just doing it because they think they have to.
Alrighty. Jeff, does this remind you of Spanish class? Because I'm having like
Speed dates.
flashbacks from No, this is from Miss Champ's version,
Oh, yeah.
which is no bueno.
Okay,
Oh,
here we
Seriously,
go.
I've never
We're gonna
seen
move, we're gonna move groups. So, what I want is I want Alexis, Tegan, Shayna, and Emily here. I'm gonna have to adjust because I took Sarah out because she wasn't here last class, so I'm gonna have to adjust. But I want everyone to move to these groups. So, Alexis, Tegan, Shayna, Emily here. Sarah can just take JC, Madison, Jack, Isaac here. Well, Isaac's not here, so that's why I need this. Alex, Ben, Chris, Hattie back there. So just everybody just move your seats, and then I need to see your faces, and then I'm gonna switch you around a little bit. You stay right there.
you're gonna have a nice.
So good.
I'm really.
Yeah.
That would have been nice.
Oh, yeah. So, tough guy.
it for him. He'll be fine.
It was
Rick.
I go from one month to the next.
You want me to carry
Yeah.
walking?
You can have it.
It's confirmation. Thank you.
How you doing?
Chris?
Yes,
said
I
even more. Patty, I want you and Emily switch.
Chris, man, you look great.
Thanks, man.
You're no, it's
I do.
My skin, I used to trash. It's all good.
Right
I
next
used
to
to have a
Chris.
little conditioner on my beard, giving some color. I use a new moisturizer.
I'm back.
I think we're okay. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch, we're done with 34 through 72, we're gonna switch to the next section, which is the end. I would like you to leave the last section, which is section 9. Don't talk about section 9, which is anything after father's death. Don't talk about that, okay? But you can talk about anything before that, okay? You can do it. Shayna asked, do we want to do it by themes? You can do it however you want to do it. Be fluid in your conversation. You may start talking about a theme. You may start talking about an event, however you want to do it, and facilitate that conversation, okay? Can I ask you to do this?
Yeah,
So it's more of a...
Yes,
Yep.
excuse
Thank
Yes,
you,
petty
Jack.
officer, here I go. I'm just kidding.
Thank you. All right, let's put 10 minutes back up.
Who wants to go first?
I think you do.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, folks. I'm here today to talk to you about. I'm here to talk to you today about some themes and different themes throughout the novel of Night, written by Ellie G. Sell. I'm going to start with the power of silence. With a quote. He was still trying to smile before a emaciated Jew questioned him anxiously, his voice trembling. So during this part, here's some background. One of the Jewish prisoners was being questioned, and he was afraid to speak because he was like afraid of being killed if he said the wrong thing. So I think silence in this was on his side, but then in the other end, earlier in the book, which isn't now, but it's earlier in the book, when Ellie was being beaten, and the officer thought that it was defiance that he was staying silent. So it's really like, could be
I was
good or bad.
thinking about how, through all this, he even knows at this point, he's lost hope by saying in 3 days he'll be back. But he still says,
Like the other day, class we talked about how that God is silent. I don't really know how to
so
relate
they're
to it.
still saying
That's
sorry.
what I have.
But even though he's already lost the hope.
Tell us about human nature.
I think it's just,
I struggle with the parallel.
Yeah, I put so much.
Even then, actually, a simple scenario. So then, I guess your question is why would someone say that? So they know that they're on their job. Charity.
Human nature, we moved down.
Two homeless kids, and like, I just,
well,
I don't know, I'm in
I mean,
this
yeah, if
situation.
you're struggling, I'll do it, but if not, go for it.
Let's just spit on this.
Yeah, but also, just like, just to herself, she was helping out. Like, one of those kids just got beaten, just like, and the other one got abused, and
So-
she couldn't have done less, and like, she just.
and by saying in 3 days I'll be gone, he's lost the hope and he's lost faith. So why is he still asking people to take part in that faith? And
I don't know if he necessarily lost faith as much as
Yeah,
he
that's
just
they went through
even before that, just
water.
the leave in the doorway. If you knew you were gonna die,
So there's kind of like.
I don't know. That was to me. I don't know if he thought that God was gonna stop it. I just felt like he would take comfort in God. Maybe throughout the whole book. I don't know if he really thought that God was gonna come down and stop the concentration camp, but I figured he could use God as much force, just like Ellie did his father.
And I don't know
And I
if
think,
you blame him.
I definitely think he lost a little bit of heart, but I think him asking them to say God,
It's just kind of
was just
human nature.
I think also his way of just keeping them up, like keeping their religion, because he's always the one that was always saying things like this is gonna happen because of X, Y, Z, and or I guess all these other things that are going on. But that'll like, cause like we feel like he wants to like get a group team and like give numbers and like
I feel like they're
it's not natural at all.
and then I guess they'd be fuzzy about in the middle, but I feel like there are two types of people. The ones that would say in 3 days I'm gonna be gone, good safe cottage for me. And then there's the type of person that's like 3 days.
And lost
If they think about it, you know, maybe
He was
these
not
3
alone
days
having
are
lost
really
his faith during those days of selection.
If you think
Back
about
to
like
selection.
even,
People were
who
like,
are fighting
how
cancer,
could God be
you have the people
real
that just
when
shut
these
down
horrible,
and
horrible
they're
things
like,
are happening?
this isn't gonna
But then you also have to
We're
go
not gonna
back
get
to
this
that
done. And then you
illusion
have
that we
the people
talked
that
about,
are gonna be like,
about
even if
their
the
sense
odds
of
are bad,
God's
we're gonna
rest.
fight, I'm still gonna
And maybe
fight.
they
And
could have
maybe there is gonna be
maintained
a
their faith
miracle
if they
and
thought that
something's
God
gonna
was
happen.
resting.
So I
But
feel
then at
like
that point,
what he's saying and
how
his
could
tone
he
and
not
his,
do anything for this law?
connotation
So
and everything,
I think people
he-
really
he's more of
questioned
the
the law
first type
here,
of person at this
and
point.
faith was just like not something that could have been possible.
Maybe like peel off and then wait a little bit, but like by him saying, telling
when you said faith,
after he's already acting, you know, setting that up.
instead, like the last one I talked about like God and stuff, but the first one I talked about like so back to like how he was spent the whole book like making sure to say what his father was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I guess you said don't talk about the death.
Because then I think like by Ellie including the actors and including the
I was
fact
just
that
gonna
they
say
forgot
that
to
like
say
the moment where he like accepted that his father was not gonna make it, that was kind of like the loss of faith. Just accepted.
Not only that, I think when in terms of like,
I found a quote that I don't know the page, but it said so we're God.
they're not very religious.
That was in my poem. That's where you
Oh,
got
really?
it from. Yeah.
No, I did not get it from your.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was thinking of it.
they find
No, where are poems?
whatever they're believing in, they find this religion in
He
a
did it
time
pretty
where they're
pretty.
like,
Oh.
Who wants to talk
like,
about
I-
man's
even they
inhumanity
hate
towards
something
man?
like very religious, rather,
Man's,
like
I'll talk about
religious
that. Okay.
as in like.
I chose a real specific example on
They,
page
not like like something they
That
do
was
every
when,
day. It's rather,
they
yes.
made the prisoners just
Religion
walk
is
in
rather
silence. The
something
whole
that
like concept of the
they're
death march
doing
just
like
it's just
not,
like
not
I
even
just
if they're
can't
not
believe like
religious. Like, I
these
see
are
a lot
like
of
people
like,
and just like treat
who
people
don't
like
even go,
that.
like they don't go to church, they don't
The
practice, but the life
fact
of the
that
house
they're
was
walking
like,
and they
like,
couldn't go
I don't know
any
if
longer.
that's
They're like,
how
can you
they
rest? And they said no, and even they wanted to sleep,
Yeah, I
they
mean-
can't sleep because.
So like, do you often, because I know,
Can't actually-
I don't know, like,
Talking
are you?
about like human nature, I always thought that like human nature would be like healthy, but it's shown in this book at least.
Like, what was it, sixth grade?
Yeah, I think it's like that part.
There, alphabet.
I guess you could also talk about the selection for this one too, kind of plays in the same thing.
Did you guys write selection?
I don't know,
Well,
like,
I had selection sometimes, but yeah.
you
Same
like,
thing.
We have two more, formation of identity and diversity. Well,
do you like still?
after the war, our
So,
love and
but
faith,
you
those were
I
the
feel
main
like that
things. They were quite simply liberated how
like
much
when things are like going.
formation of identity. I think that quote, even though it doesn't say exactly who he is, it shows a lot of his identity, because he had the chance of being liberated, but instead he just had to leave the infirmary and go to be with his father. And that really showed who he was, because
Hardship and
he-
not also in
he could have helped just himself there and taken that chance, but he went and did something for others. And I think that shows his identity.
That's what, one of the positives I
Yeah,
think about.
I
like,
chose
I
like
don't like
like
very
you, I chose
religious
like a
practices.
specific example, just
When
going
it comes
kind
to
of a different
morals
way,
and
like
stuff, I don't
how
like
the
when
fact of the
people
university like
are
kind
like
of changed
that.
his like
But one
frame
of the
of mind,
things
like
that
way
I
of
do
thinking,
appreciate
like
about
for
people who
example,
are
with the
constantly
death march and
global,
stuff.
which are constantly
He,
going,
like
is
everyone
that
just,
they're
not just him, but
constantly
everyone
praying.
knew
So
not
that
to
they're
go
also
sleep, not to
showing
take a rest, because they knew that that
for
equaled
their
death. And I feel like, especially like at this point,
rather
like,
than
they have a solid understanding of like,
whatever they believe.
like what was like what they needed to do to survive.
I feel like that could depend on
And I feel like that was definitely
this is a
maybe the